Hey everybody, it's Emily at Schooling, and welcome to another episode of Homeschool Tidbits. I cannot remember what number episode this is. This is sort of an unscripted Homeschool Tidbits because it's a bit spur of the moment. But around the beginning of last year, I did a Homeschool Tidbit video talking about my favorite history spines. And there were so many requests for a science version of that video. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And then I just never got to it. And I kept putting it off because I feel a lot more comfortable talking about history books than I do about science books. But that is what we're going to talk about today. So these are not necessarily spines. Some of them are. Some of them are just science books that I've enjoyed using with my kids, and so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to give you a range of ages, but these are 5 of our favorite science books that we have in our homeschool science library. Starting with something for younger readers, I have Notable Notebooks, Scientists and Their Writings. This is by Jessica Fries Gaither, and this is a just really nice picture book. What I like about this is I like the emphasis on scientist notebooks. I think it's a great way to introduce the idea of science writing to younger children. And the writing is really nice, but I also really like that at the end of the book, it gives you some ideas for starting your own science notebook. And just to give you like some pictures from this book, it's really nice to look at, which I think is really important in a picture book. You want to be able to like get lost in the art while you're listening to the story. And I like that this also introduces children to some famous scientists. So this is a really great option, I think, for younger readers. Next is a series that I want to talk about. So this is the one I pulled off the shelf, but it is a part of a series that I really want to recommend. And that is the Scientists in the Field series. This one is the frog scientist, but there is a topic for every reader. Like there's so many different things in this series. There's a book about birds. There's books about climate change and pollution. There's books about reptiles. Like there's so many different things. So there's like really something for everybody in this series. And what I love about this is that these are following an actual scientist, and it teaches kids like what does a scientist actually do. So they go on like field research missions, and they take you along with them and explain what it is that they're studying, why they're studying it, how they're studying it, like what does that actually look like in the real world. Because it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, I want to be a biologist, I think biology is great, but what does a biologist actually do? So like it takes you along with them, and I just think that's a really neat way to study science, like a really interesting way for kids to like get a feel for what a scientist really does. And the books are always full of like full color photography, really beautiful images to look at. They're really interesting to read. The writing is always really well done. So these are some of my absolute favorite books to read with my kids when we are studying science. This one is also more of like a middle grade, upper elementary audience, and it's another series. This one is Outdoor School, Tree, Wildflower, and Mushroom Spotting, the Definitive Interactive Nature Guide. So there's a few different books in this series. I think there's one for hiking and camping, rock fossils, and shell hunting. We also have that one. And then there's animal watching. I really like these because they have so much information in them. This is sort of like having a field guide, but also your science notebook. So like on the field guide pages, it tells you the information, but it gives you a little space where you can write in the book that you've seen this in the wild, where you saw it, and any notes you want to include. So it's your notebook along with being a field guide, but not just a field guide. They also have activities you can do. There's like a section, let me see, at the beginning about like botany and like what to look for, how to look at leaves and tell what tree they came from, like how to track it, different things you can try. So there's so much information included in these, and they're just a really great resource to have on your shelves. If you can only have a few books, I think this series is absolutely worth having on your shelves. These last two are what I would consider spine books. This one is for middle grades, but I think like 5th grade and up could manage with that. And it is the How to Survive Middle School Science. And this is similar to the Big Fat Notebook series, but I think a little bit more in depth. And it's a big book. Like there's a lot going on in here. This could be something you dip in and out of. It could be a year's worth of science. I used this for my daughter's 8th grade science, and she did the whole book in a year. And I think it worked really well for that purpose. It's a really good mix of information and activities. And there are vocabulary words, there's little quizzes included. They ask interesting questions. That's one of the things that I like about this series, is that the questions they ask are thinking questions, not like every answer is going to be the same kind of question. So like, for example, on this page it talks about sedimentary rocks and gives some information about that, and then the question here is to predict what you think might happen to that sedimentary rock. So it's not just fill in the blank type questions, it's like thinking about it kind of questions, which I think is really important. I really liked their history version of this too, which I think I mentioned in that other video. But there's lots of different activities included to help you get the most out of it. There are answer keys, so that if there's very like specific like mathy type questions, you do have an answer key for that. But this covers a huge variety of science topics, so it would work really well as like a general science course. And then the last book I want to talk about is a high school level book, and one of my absolute favorite science books of all time, and that is Bill Bryson's A Short History of Nearly Everything. I love this book. I think it is so interesting and so well written and compelling that it would suck in any kid, even kids who aren't interested in science. Like, I feel like this is one of those books that is perfect for getting somebody interested in science. Because even if they don't think that they like science, I can guarantee that something in this book will spark their interest. Bill Bryson is a really great writer, and he does a really great job of digging into questions that make him curious, and then taking those questions like and talking to people who do know a lot about this stuff and getting them to help him understand science, if that makes sense. So like, I think this is a really great resource. I think this is something everyone should have on their shelves, and everyone should read it at least once. I've read this a few different times because I've read it for myself, but then I've also read it with my kids, and I just think it's a really great introduction to the world of science. So there you go. Those are 5 of our absolute favorite science books. And actually it's more than 5 because I've given you a few series to check out, some bonus things. I hope you found this video useful. I also want to tag on here that every month at Build Your Library we host a giveaway. This month the giveaway is for our gift code worth $20.25 because it is 2025. So if you want to enter that giveaway, go check out the link down below. There are a whole bunch of different ways to enter, but one of them is a code. And the code for this month's giveaway is science. So go click the link down below, go to the giveaway, enter the code, and see if you can win the prize this month. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Happy reading. Bye!